Ladies and gentlemen, patriots across this nation under God, welcome to Red America First Town Hall, where we the people run the show. I'm your host, Ashley Weiss. For 3 years, we stood shoulder to shoulder, rooted in faith, driven by truth, and united under the banner that our country is under God. Red for the blood of Christ, America First for the policies and candidates that defend our values. This is more than a conversation. It's a movement, a front line for truth, freedom, and the future worth fighting for. Let's get started.
And I'm your co-host, Valerie Weiss. Tonight we'll be doing something we've never done before. We will share things we have researched for all of us discussed tonight. The topic for tonight is the Epstein truth.
Everyone, let's start with prayer. Every show for Town Hall, we do prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, and National Anthem. So we're going to call on Dr. Aaron Gray. He's the host of Pastor's Point Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's go ahead and bring him up here. And if those members will please bow your heads as he leads us into the prayer. Thank you in advance, Pastor Gray.
Thanks, actually. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day. Father, Lord, we ask you to watch over us and be with us. We ask you, Lord, that what we see here, what we share here, what we hear here is the truth. Lord, let it speak to our spirits as we move and guide us in the direction you want us to go. We ask you, Lord, that what we share here today, what we give here, is nothing but directing people towards you, guiding them towards you. For we know that we are your children. This is your world. You are created. You are the maker. You are the one who created it. We are your creation, Lord. So we ask you to be with us, guide us, lead us tonight. And Lord, we ask you just to fill us with your presence, saturate us with your power. And Lord, most of all, remind us that no matter what, no matter where we are, what we do, you should be first in all we have and all we think and all we say. You are first and foremost in our lives. And we just ask that this be true today as it is every day. In the holy and precious name of Jesus Christ, we all say, amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Pastor Gray. Now, we're going to call on a co-founder of Red America First, Valerie Weiss. She's going to do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Thank you so much, Valerie.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Let me see. I don't know for sure. We're supposed to have a guest doing the national anthem for us tonight. I'm waiting patiently for that person to come on. Maybe this is the person here. Let me see in the chat. I'm waiting here, and then we're going to get started in the Epstein series tonight. Holy, you guys don't understand how convoluted this whole topic is. I'm going to wait another minute, and then we're going to get started if I don't see this guest coming on. While we're waiting, Valerie, tell everybody what's your take on this Epstein thing while I'm waiting for the singer.
Well, I don't know. I think that there's a lot going on with Epstein. I think that the Democrats, like, they always interfere with investigations and they implant information, and they don't know, like, if they go to do an investigation, they're going to pull files that are probably going to have incorrect information and run people down the wrong paths, I guess you would say, because like Kash Patel was saying that he found some information over here, some information over there, all this information all over the place, and it wasn't yeah. So that's what I kind of think.
Well, that's good. So thank you for that preface. Now that we have our singer ready for the night, let's see if we could get her up here. It's Camille Harris from Oklahoma. Thank you for coming on Town Hall tonight. Wait a minute. We got to get you unmuted again. Here you go. and she's going to do the national anthem all the way from Oklahoma. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me know if this guitar comes through, okay?
All right, go for it.
Another thing. Ready? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Na, na. Yes or no?
I don't know.
No,
Strum
no guitar.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. No guitar?
No, I think.
Try one more time. Try one more time.
Beautiful for spacious sky. Is it cut out?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
coming through.
1 second, let me find this out and see if this will work. My trusty dongle. Un momento. This may be a little saving grace. You guys are awesome.
No, we appreciate you coming on to sing for us tonight.
I am now a TikToker.
Nice.
So I have had someone helping me for hours get my videos after video made, which has been a big blessing. Tonight,
Cool.
so that's where
Congratulations.
we're at. Thank you. Well, I'm thankful to have help. I need it. Okay, let me see if this one will work with my other mic. Okay, check. Can you hear me?
Lima Charlie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay, thank you for waiting. Can't seem to get, oh, there we are. Now this will probably work. Okay, ready? Can you hear it?
No, I don't hear the guitar still, but
Yeah, that we did. I heard that.
You can hear the guitar? Yes?
Guitar.
not like when
maybe
she
when you're
had that
singing.
one microphone.
Okay,
She
well,
had
you
that
can try
one
it.
microphone.
I brought this one out, so
Okay.
That one would work for sure.
Yeah.
it works. So let's see if it's loud enough. Can you hear that? Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't hear it. We can't
Well,
hear
thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for, oh, good. Sounds fine in Hawaii. I'd love to hear it. Here's our U.S. national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad streams and bright stars through the pale fight for the realms we watched, were so gallantly streaming. Spring almost bursting. That we need the egg-shaped mic. Is this not working? Is it not coming through? Not coming through. It is coming through for some, but not for others.
No,
It comes in and
it's
out.
that one setting that you gotta have on the egg mic.
Oh, okay. I'm on a phone within a dongle attachment. So maybe that's the problem. My computer is across the way. I can go get it and come back. Or I could sing a cappella. But
No, it's the setting in Zoom that's kind of like cutting out your voice, and we fixed it for one of the shows you came on. But
don't know if I can do it on the phone. Let me see if it does an option. 1 second. Where are options? I'm not sure if it gives an option since it's not a computer.
well, I'll be darned. It still sounded really good, but I could talk a little bit while you're getting your computer online.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to, I will move my operations over there.
Because it sounds better for sure on there. So.
Well, you're so kind. Okay. Well, I will be right back, and I will come back in a little bit. So.
All right, we'll wait for you. That's Camille Harris from Oklahoma.
Thank you.
She'll be
All
back.
right.
She'll be back, and then her anthem's going to be great. But sitting through this tangled timeline, I feel like I'm starting at a jigsaw whose corner pieces keep vanishing just when the picture starts to sharpen. A school teacher turned financier with phantom billions is ushered by who? Lynn Forrester D. Rothschild led him into saloons where Alan Dershowitz, Larry Summers, and Leslie Wexner swap ideas. Then those names reappear in plea deals, mysteriously shrink felony sex trafficking into county jail work release. Okay? The Terra Mar charity trumped it on the UN stages, yet doing little but funneling cash back to who? Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, that's Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice. Okay, feels okay, but her Terramar charity felt less like ocean advocacy than a life raft for reputations, while a minute of jail video blinks out and every camera malfunctions the night Epstein dies in a cell, no guard checks. There's going to be a lot to discuss here. So now let me see. I think this is Camille Harris now. Here, let me see if this is her on her laptop, and then she could maybe sing that national anthem. Oh, she's still troubleshooting, maybe.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay, she's not ready yet. All right.
Yes, I'm going from one apartment to the next because my dad lives here, my sister lives in the other one. So
It's okay.
my computer over there. So I'll be over there.
All right, you're unmuted, so just when we get another break, we'll call on you.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
Val, go ahead.
Know when I'm ready.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. No
Talk soon.
problem. Thank you. We really appreciate you. Thanks.
You're so kind. Thank you.
Virginia Giuffre, the most vocal accuser, warns the world she's not suicidal, then dies by suicide, missing custody records and unresolved assault claims against her estranged husband, just as unsealed documents name yet more elites who nonetheless skate past charges. Each loose thread, Rothschild introductions, submersible licenses, doctor footages, retracted affidavits, pulls me deeper into the conviction that an invisible hand keeps snipping connections, ensuring the full picture of who benefited from Epstein's secret economy of exploitation never quite seems into view. Maybe something I should leave alone. CIA has their fingerprints all over the whole thing. Caribbean island, the rich and powerful people, politicians, and royalty. You can bet the CIA had a recording on everything. Murder and the blackmail is in their stock and trade. This will be the last time we ever speak of this topic, and we're both not suicidal.
We're both
I know,
not
we're
suicidal. We're never going to talk about this topic in the public again because this is deep. It goes really deep. I'm really worried actually about disclosing some of this stuff. So I'm really excited to tell some of these things tonight. But so tonight we will break down what I would like to call the signal above the noise and follow up with hard facts and a key event timeline. So we're first going to share Raf's perspective, okay, the signal above the noise, which is what we're all hearing right now. And then we're going to have that signal above the noise with actual receipts, factual timeline information, and it's a lot, okay? So what I'm asking all of you that are on the panel tonight, we are the guests, hypothetically to you, so take notes, and I want you guys to engage in the Q&A with us, get your opinions, ask us to clarify stuff, whatever it is, okay? Because ultimately, all of us sometimes put on that hat, that hat of if we were to slip on a tinfoil hat, but one lined with a healthy dose of common sense. Yeah, this whole Epstein saga smells like a cover-up, engineered by those untouchable deep state people that we talk about all the time. We're talking about a guy who went from high school dropout, teaching at an elite private school, rubbing elbows with billionaires, presidents, and royalty. This is globally, all while running a sex trafficking operation that somehow got the kid glove treatment from the justice system. Valerie?
So let's connect the dots using the facts on record, brushing aside the official narrative that feels like they're scripted to make us look away. I'll stick to verifiable inconsistencies and patterns that scream protection racket without diving into lizard people territory. But start with the Rothschild connection. It's not some Illuminati fever dream. It's documented. In 1996, Lynn Forrester de Rothschild married to Evelyn de Rothschild of the legendary banking dynasty. We're talking one of the wealthiest people in history, with tentacles into global finance since the 18th century. Introduced Epstein to Alan Dershowitz at the Martha's Vineyards party. This wasn't a random mingle. It kicked off Epstein's predominantly academic relationship with Dershowitz, who later helped negotiate his sweetheart plea deal. The Rothschilds aren't just rich, they're synonymous with power networks that influence everything from central banks to politics. Epstein, a guy with no clear legitimate business to explain his billionaire status. Forbes and others pegged it as exaggerated, possibly offshore illusions, get ushered into this world. Common sense says that's not a coincidence. It's access to a web of influence that kept him afloat and protected.
Absolutely. Fast forward to the crimes and the infamous 2008 plea deal right here in the state of Florida. Epstein was nailed for soliciting prostitution for minors. FBI identified around 40 victims. 40. Some as young as 14. But instead of the federal hammer time, he pleads to state charges, serves 13 months in a cushy Palm Beach jail with work release, letting him get to go to his office for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. His cell door was left unlocked. He actually bought women's panties from the commissary, and deputies were paid off by his nonprofit, monitored, and it was monitored his office. Okay, this violated standard sex offender protocols, and the deal was brokered by U.S. State Attorney Alexander Acosta, who later resigned amid backlash, but he gave him immunity to co-conspirators without telling victims, breaking federal law. Acosta himself admitted he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to back off. Valerie and I think that that's special treatment. And in fact, it's an understatement. It reeks of elite intervention. And why else does a proven predator get concierge jail time while regular folks rot for less? Val?
Now layer in Ghislaine Maxwell in the Terra Mara Project, founded in 2012 as an ocean conservation nonprofit. It sounds noble, but dig in. 0 grants dispersed from 2012 to 2017. High cost, headquartered at Maxwell's mansion, and owed her over 560,000 by 2018. Maxwell Epstein's right hand in human trafficking, child trafficking, paraded in at the UN and CFR, claiming submersible piloting skills, not verified license, just training. Critics call it a reputation cleanser. Amid Epstein scrutiny, a hollow shell funneling cash back towards her while doing zilch for the oceans. Shutting down days after Epstein's 2019 arrest, with FBI probing, but finding no illicit activity. Common sense. Why pour effort into a fake charity unless it's a front? Obviously. Speculation on X ties subs to island trafficking, no hard proof, but with Epstein's Little St. James setup, cameras everywhere, elite visitors, Terramar fits a laundering or invasion tool in blackmail empire.
Epstein's suicide in 2019. I mean, come on, guys. The cameras malfunctioned. Guards skipped checks for hours. Later indicted for falsifying records. Cellmate was removed the night before. The night before he commits suicide, the cellmate was removed. Official ruling was hanging. But in July 2025, DOJ released footage missing a minute or more. We're going to debate that tonight. Stretched from files, modified. They concluded no murder, no client list, no evidence. Yet there's damning evidence and transparency that's already been put out there that says otherwise. Trump promised declassification during campaign, but now calls it a hoax by the Dems. That files include horrible videos. Were on her desk in February of 2025. Then backtrack. Dots connect. Dots connect, folks. Epstein's network. Clinton, Andrew, Prince Andrew, all the stuff was explosive. His death, silence it, footage, tampering, hides the hand. Then Virginia Giuffre. I know I'm screwing up her last name, please. Whatever. She was the loudest accuser. She was trafficked from when I went into the service until 2002. She sued Epstein, settled. She sued Maxwell, settled. They wouldn't have paid her if they were innocent. Guys, wake up. Alleged FBI cover-up. There's no evidence of that. But in 2019, post "I'm not suicidal" resurfaces in 2025 after she allegedly on April 25th of this year, she committed suicide. Allegedly because of an amid custody battle, abuse claims from her husband. And the family confirmed, leaves note, cremated her body, private funeral, but there's no funeral evidence. I mean, this is like Osama bin Laden getting pushed off into the ocean, right? Completely disappeared. Public records are sparse. There's no photos or obits or witnesses beyond family statements. Her lawyer notes inconsistencies, and here we are. Key witness dies right as the unsealed docs name more elites post 2019. Feels engineered, especially with all the retracted stuff that's going on, and the persistent skepticism. Valerie?
He's thinking
Wait.
What?
Camille might be ready.
Oh.
Camille, we're trying to unmute you. Are you ready?
I'm just about to test to make sure I have the right settings on my computer. Can you see me?
Okay.
Well, we don't see your...
Looks like my video. Oh, there we go. This should work. 1 second. Okay. Oh, that's pretty bright back there. Alrighty.
Let's test your tunes out.
Let me test the settings. Okay, how's this? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. Can you hear it?
I think
Yeah.
that's gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Is
your
that gonna
settings,
work?
there's a little alligator by the mute button. If you tap that and go to audio settings, just
Uh-huh.
just
Do I
make
go
sure.
live performance or which one do I go to?
Right by the mute button, there's like a little alligator kind of like
Right.
you hit that and then you go to audio settings.
I got that. I'm at live. Do I do live performance?
Yeah, live performance should work. Yeah. I think you
Let
got
me
it.
look at this.
Good luck.
Okay.
Everyone's cheering you on.
Yay! Oh, you guys are so kind. Okay, let's see if this works. Now we know the phone for sure doesn't work, even with my adapter. Alrighty, thank you for your patience. Here he goes. Thank you guys for being vigilant and for being here, by the way. It takes people like you guys to make sure we're all informed. So I appreciate it. Oh, say, can you see? So you have been trying to sleep. Cross stripes and bright stars. Like it's in and out. Or the once we watched. Should I try to fix it? Is it continually going in and out? Maybe I'll get off of that live performance and go original sound for musicians.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, let's find out. Skies around. How's that working?
It's similar. But
Similar, going in and out.
Yeah, a little bit.
And this is with a good mic, apparently, for this. Na. They make it so hard on us musicians. I'm going to take away. Okay, let's see if I change any of these things. Remember waves of gray. How's that? Oh, beautiful mountain majesty. Is it working?
maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Just go with it. We'll just have to
Go with it. Okay.
and we'll fix it for next time for sure.
I don't know how to fix it. That's the problem. Okay, but thank you guys. Here it goes. Hopefully third time's a charm. Oh, say, can you see? What's so stripes and bright stars. Was still there, oh, sitting down, stars fade away. For the land.
That was very nice. That's Camille Harris She will do the national anthem for us again in the future, and we're gonna fine tune her audio there. Thank you so much, Camille from Oklahoma there, and she's gonna learn a lot as we continue this Epstein discussion. Look, piecing it all together. Rothschild's intro opens elite doors, unexplained wealth fund operations, special deal shields via intelligence ties, Terramar launders both the children, the imagery, money, deaths, Epstein, Gouffre, Bruno coincide with scrutiny, footage, and documents altered to bury this list, which now Blondie says, DOJ says there's none. It's a protection scheme for the powerful blackmail tapes. Thousands found in raids to ensure the silence, right? The CIA, the satellite eyes, island antics. Ignored, move on. The whole agenda right now is move on. That's the spin. This pattern doesn't add up unless someone's snipping threads to keep the full picture hidden. Now there's a theory. Okay, now hear me out on this. Trump is creating this chaos with this situation. And a lot of us on this platform, I've already spoken to some of you about this, would ask, well, why would he do that? Well, he's going against the deep state, right? The deep state is now pushing for this information to come out, but their information isn't what Trump wants to release. This is an interesting point of view. Remember, he's dealing with the war with the deep state. So he leans on his art of the deal. He wrote a book, right? So he leans on that capability. He also leans on the art of war. Part of his strategy, strategic positioning, psychological leverage, competitive advantage. And ultimately, he likes setting up traps for these individuals to catch them in their own trap. Think about the chaos. It looks like everything's disorganized right now. Trump, his AG Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, they're all in disagreement, fighting. And so this one opinion is that it's done on purpose to create this narrative on the news networks. Think about this 3-4 years ago. We weren't hearing about Epstein. We actually brought it on the show many times. When we try to wake people up, there's 4 series of shows that we get people to watch. And the Epstein series on Netflix is one of them. Because it shows the corruption and how deep it goes, all the way to the Royal Crown in the UK. So you didn't hear any Epstein stuff 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever. So the theory is Trump is in control and the American people will demand this Epstein data. The deep state believes that they have the narrative and that they have Trump. But this theory is Trump is saying the documents they have set up, this is really from Obama. This is from deep state players, from the Russian collusion people, the same people that have been coming after him for 8 years. And he claims that he's going to release a separate information related to the Epstein information, claiming that he's outmaneuvering by perception, his psychological tactics, bold claims, all these things that are in this book. This is a theory again. But I personally believe that this surprisingly was buried since the Iran-Israel conflict. We have hard information that there's a connection with Epstein and Mossad, okay? So Trump telling his MAGA people what he did this week is no different than calling his base deplorable. Interesting. It's bold. I don't know what to say other than all of this stinks. Now, Valerie?
Well, before we go into the timeline and extra facts to back this up, any questions so far from anybody?
So, some quick hands related to our intro here. Okay. Gosh, if I don't get any hands up, I know who to pick on to talk, because I got some talkers. Doug, Texas, I'm gonna call on you. Valerie and I just laid out some pretty good info. What's your take?
Well, my take on the whole subject is, very much similar to what you're saying is that I think it's coming, I think he's forcing the deep state in a certain weird sort of way to kind of out themselves. And because nothing else makes any sense, he just kind of shovels it under the rug. And now everybody, of course, thinks that he's on the list. And so they're forcing it out. And so he can just sit back and say, well, see, I didn't bring this out. You guys made me bring it out. But, as far as Epstein being dirty, of course he's been dirty all these years. And I think everybody in the know knows that he's been dirty. And one of the interesting things that I came up with this week while I was searching some stuff, and it was about, and goes to Trump's credibility, is there was an interview with Sammy the Bull Gravano, who was a famous mobster back in the day, and they wanted him. He controlled all of the unions in New York City where he was trying to build. And he says his bosses had told him to go get Trump. And Sammy knew, he's like, you can't get that guy. That guy is uncorruptible. So if the mafia is saying that, and they said, if we'd have gone up there to even see him, he was surrounded with FBI agents. He goes, that guy is uncorruptible. So if even the mob is saying that, it's really interesting. But I, like you, everybody wants, everybody wants some prosecutions to happen. I think that's really what's on the agenda. We want to see some people, prosecuted for this, that, or the other. I want to see Hillary Clinton first. I want to see Obama because of the treasonous actions that they had. Epstein's kind of low on my list, even though he's a child molester. He's, comparatively speaking to these other bigger people. And I think that's really kind of what this is going to initiate. So perhaps this list will come out and then that'll lead to other things. But that's what I think.
I think it's all connected. I think that the Clintons, the Obama, all of it with Jeffrey Epstein it's all, because I've seen pictures of people there on his island, and Obama with little kids with what's his name, George Clooney. It's just really disgusting. So
McGay, so you got your hand up. What's your take? First, do you agree on our position in relation to the information that we shared? And we're going to lay out all the facts here shortly. Go ahead, McGay. So thank you.
Yeah, everything you led in with is accurate as to what's taking place. This is a psychological operation, so you appear weak when you're strong, and you appear strong when you're weak. This involves the intelligence agencies, not only of Mossad and the CIA, but of all intelligence agencies throughout the world. So this is a game that's got to unfold. It's working. He's got you talking about it on this podcast tonight. All podcasters around the country and the world are going to be talking about it. And then when the time is right, that's when the information will come out. But it's going to affect world operations. It's going to affect banking operations. It's going to affect trade. It's going to affect their commerce. Everything's going to be affected when the actual data is released. So it's a psychological operation that forces the people to force the hands of the leaders around the world to come forward.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, McGay. So that's a good perspective, and there's others that want to chime in as well. So let's go ahead and let's get another perspective from Texas. Mike, what's your take on our position, what we laid out so far, I just wanted your reaction to that, and then 30-second reaction. Go ahead, Mike. Thank you.
I'm from the background that obviously everything you pointed out makes sense. We all have heard about it before. All the facts are pretty much being presented. The biggest thing I look at is timing, and the timing of Trump's pull, if you will, of release of the Epstein files sort of corresponds with the big beautiful bill, don't you think? And here's the thing: if he's trying to get some people on both sides of the aisle to vote in favor of the bill, and they happen to be on that list, what do you think? There might be some backdoor stuff going on saying, hey, I'll tell you what, if you don't release the list, I'll pretty much vote for your bill. So I think it's pretty simplistic. Typical politics. We have people on both sides of the aisle that are on that list. They don't want their names revealed. And now it's being pulled off. So simplistic. Keep it simple, right? Kiss.
I like that perspective. Thank you for that, Mike. Now let's see what a member in California thinks. Oh, wait a minute. Where'd he go? There he is. Larry, what say you? What we kind of laid out our position in the information. What did you think of that, and what's your take?
Actually, are you talking to me? Sorry, the text said Mary with an M. Listen, I don't think I'm bringing up anything new. I think all of us are a bit maybe a little surprised and maybe a little confused that in this last week, the conflict between A.G. Bondi and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, it looks too contrived to be believable, but maybe it is believable. I don't know. I think Trump's recent directive to Bondi to tell her, you know what, I want you to move forward. I want you to go forward with anything credible you think you have. Well, that leaves a lot of autonomy up to her. It leaves a lot of independent decision making with somebody that is already suspect. Maybe. I'm not sure that she's suspect because it all goes back down to how much of this is theater. It's confusing. And I don't know what to deduct from it. I'm confused that how was Epstein's security in prison so vulnerable that it came to his death, yet Ghislaine Maxwell seems incredibly safe wherever she's at. Why wouldn't she be as big a risk to what information is available as Epstein was? I mean, they were partners in crime. So, is it about money? I know that sounds really naive. Is it about money? Is it about she's given names up? If she's given names up, we haven't heard anything about it. I think that the notion of why don't we just turn loose of this list and let the whole world see it? And to me, I don't have any facts to support it, but it seems to me that I don't know that it's equal in balance, but I believe there's tons of Republicans that are dirty as well. I'm not suggesting that it's Trump just because they've got a photo of him. That's ridiculous. But he seems pretty assertive about, let's go forward. Let's see what you've got. So certainly slamming the brakes on, there must be a lot of dirty Republicans because, evil doesn't discriminate. And Democrats certainly don't have a monopoly on evil. So that's got to be a factor in slamming on the brakes all of a sudden before release. If, oh my God, look who's on that list, the world's going to fall apart. Well, you let us worry about that. You quit trying to protect us. So I don't know that if the factor is, man, if that list gets released, you're going to have political suicide, people jumping off of bridges and into rivers. And my opinion on that is, we have a right to know, and I think it needs to be let out. But I've got more questions than answers, unfortunately, like all of us.
Well, we're going to try to get some of those answers to you tonight because we got a timeline to share with everyone.
Well, I kind of think that Trump is trying to tell us that you know, that the files have been corrupted and that the information that would be released is fake. So, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind. No.
Uh-oh. Somebody raised their hand.
Oh, Shell did. Shell, go ahead.
Oh, man. Shell, let me stop sharing. Hang on a second. And let's see. Where in the world did she go? That's it. I'm trying a new system out and there. Okay. I don't see her anymore. Okay. Let's see if we could get her to turn her camera on. Go ahead, Shell. Going once. Going twice. Okay, I guess she lost connection or something. Shell, please raise your hand if you're ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this timeline up for you guys here. Epstein key facts. Let's start that he was birthed in Brooklyn, New York, and he was children of Jewish immigrants. That's a important piece that I want you guys to write down in your note. That this is a big deal. Okay, mid 1970s, Epstein teaches math and physics at Dalton School in New York City. He didn't have a college degree. In fact, he didn't even graduate high school. He was dismissed in 1976. And later from that, somehow he entered the finance sector, working at Bear Stearns, before he started his own financial firm, cultivating an elite social circle. Fast forward to 1996. This is a big data point. Epstein meets Alan Dershowitz. As we all know, he's a big Harvard Law professor, defense attorney, and still goes on many mainstream media channels today. Remember, that's the noise, that's the narrative. He plays in that world. Through Lynn Forrester D. Rothschild at Martha Stewart's vineyard party, they all met together, developed social, intellectual relationship. Dershowitz sharing book drafts with Epstein, attending seminars with figures like Harvard president Larry Summers, and socializing at Epstein's Upper East Side townhouse. They flew together on Epstein's private jet. What was it called?
The Lolita Express.
Say that.
Lolita. The Lolita Express.
Okay. So they flew together on this jet to Leslie Wexner's birthday party, you know, CEO of Victoria's Secret. Dershowitz later described their relationship as predominantly academic. That's it. But let's dig in a little deeper. Who is Lynn Forrester de Rothschild? The wife of Evelyn Robert de Rothschild, 1931 to just recently passed in 2022, was a senior member of the British branch of the Rothschild banking dynasty, one of the most prominent and historically influential families in the European finance and here in America. He is directly descended from the original Rothschild family bloodline. Yeah, Rothschild connection. Nothing to see here, and I'm here to tell you, yeah, right. Let's go to the 1990s and early 2000s. Epstein builds a network of influential contacts. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, we talked about Dershowitz already, Prince Andrew, and there you go. The Lolita Express was the name of the jet, transports all these high figures, but there's no evidence of wrongdoing with Clinton or Trump in this context. But there is one argument the left has. Why is Trump protecting this Epstein information. That's what they like to throw in our face every day. 1999 to 2002, here's where the drums start coming out. Virginia Roberts Giuffre alleges she was sexually trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to high-profile individuals, including Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz. She claimed she was Epstein's sex slave and recruited other underage girls. Dershowitz denies ever meeting Giuffre or engaging in sexual activity with her. 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida began investigating Epstein. After, I guess, abused a 14-year-old daughter. The FBI identified approximately 40 victims as young as 14. And Epstein hired his buddy, Alan Dershowitz, to help him on the defense, focusing on discrediting the accusers and negotiating a plea deal. Federal investigation reveals Epstein's sex trafficking network. Dershowitz helped negotiate controversial non-prosecution agreement, resulting in Epstein pleading guilty in 2008 to one count of solicitation, prostitution from a minor, and one count of procuring a person under 18 for prostitution. He served 13 months in Palm Beach County Jail with extensive work release. We talked about that earlier. He had like 12 days off, or 12 hours off every day for 6 days a week. And that deal was criticized to be very lenient. And in our eyes, it is. I mean, slap on the wrist on steroids. This guy was screwing around with 14-year-old girls, okay? Anyway, he got away with a lot of stuff. He is registered as a level 3 sex offender, indicating a high risk of reoffending. Dershowitz later defends the deal, stating it was his duty to secure the best outcome for his client. 2009, Virginia Giuffre, under the pseudonym name of Jane Doe 102, filed a lawsuit against Epstein, and they settled $500,000 without admission of liability. Okay. 2010, Alfredo Rodriguez, the Epstein's former house manager, was sentenced to 18 months for obstruction of justice after failing to turn over journal details about Epstein's activities and attempting to sell it. The journal contained names and contact information of witnesses and victims. Prince Andrew, December 2010, photograph with Epstein, Central Park. 2011, Epstein tells New York Post that he's not an offender. He's not a predator, minimizing his crimes. Dershowitz serving as a consultant for Julian Assange legal team, defending his First Amendment rights. 2012, Ghislaine Maxwell founds the Terra Mar Project, a U.S.-based nonprofit focused on ocean conservation, specifically the high seas. A sister organization, Terra Mar in the UK, is incorporated in 2013. Headquartered initially at Maxwell's Manhattan mansion, it later moves to Woburn, Massachusetts for tax filings in 2016 and 2017. Maxwell's the president. Scott Borgenson is on the board in 2013. The organization reports no grants dispersed for 5 years, with administrative costs, raising questions about its legitimacy. Critics describe it as hollow, possibly a reputation cleanser for Maxwell amid Epstein's scrutiny. It receives support from Ted Wade and a nod from the National Geographic Society in 2014. There was claims in 2013 in a CNN interview to have training to pilot submersibles, helicopters, ROVs, AUVs, sighting experience with Ted Wade's yacht Plan B, which had a submersible on board. No official license is verified. The term likely refers to operational training. Speculation on X about submersibles used for trafficking lacks credible evidence. But let me tell you, Epstein Island had many secret bays. It had a basement. It had a lot of cameras, and I hear it had tunnels as well. 2013 and 2014, Maxwell speaks at United Nations related to Terramar, promoting it, advocating ocean conservation, but they did nothing. They absolutely did nothing. And what makes it really stink is after he got arrested in New York, the whole business went belly up somehow.
And another thing about that too, I think, is that they consider that there's no laws in the ocean that would incriminate them from doing any kind of trafficking.
Yeah, and then if there's a missing kid, tie them up with some rocks, let them out the submarine. No one's going to find that body. It's floating to the bottom. But 2014, Virginia Giuffre files a sworn affidavit in a Florida court alleging Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her. Okay. Now, when we fast forward to 2015, that there's now a defamation lawsuit filed against Maxwell after Maxwell accused her of lying. They settled again. 2018, the Miami Herald publishes a series by Julie Brown identifying around 80 alleged victims and renewing public interest in Epstein's crimes. If we know Julie Brown, Rosemarie, and other Floridians, let's talk to her from the Miami Herald and let's try to see what kind of data she bring onto the show. Terramar reports $10,000 in cash, $500,000 owed to Maxwell, and about $1,300 in credit card debt, spending website development, but nothing on program services. So an outsider looking in, this looks really suspicious, the Terramar project. Epstein is arrested in 2019, July 6th, by FBI New York Police Department, Crimes Against Children Task Force at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. Okay. Then 6 days later, Terramar project ceases operation. Now, I don't know about this. Sounds a little fishy. July 2019, Epstein is found in his cell with neck injuries, a possible suicide attempt. Then we go to August 9th. His cellmate was removed and the guards failed to check on him approximately every 3 hours, violating the jail protocol. Cameras outside his cell were malfunctioning. Give me a break. August 10th, Epstein's found dead. The medical examiner rules his death suicide by hanging. His lawyers dispute this, fueling conspiracy theories. There's no credible evidence supports any claim of murder. The 29th of that month, the judge dismisses all criminal charges against Epstein due to his death. 2019, Virginia Giuffre posts on social media that she's not suicidal. 2020, look, I'm going to pause for a second here because this is just a little bit more detail. But we hit the end of the timeline, and I want to add one special thing that hit just tonight. New York Times released, let me verify it's New York Times, hang on. I'm kind of skipping ahead. I'll go back to these other details because I'm missing out some stuff that happened this month, right? Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. Like, for example, Kash Patel said in 2024, in December 2024, that the Epstein client list in several interviews and podcasts, including discussions on show hosted like on Glenn Beck, emphasizes transparency and identifying these pedophiles. 2024, Bongino on his own podcast makes multiple claims about the existence of the Epstein list and warned that the FBI was trying to bury it, often linking it to broader conspiracy theories involving high profiles like Bill Clinton. Okay. 2024 additional court documents from Gaufre's lawsuit against Maxwell became unsealed, detailing more Epstein trafficking network and naming associate. Okay. So there's more transparency that hit. And then here we go. In 2025, Gaufre was hospitalized in Western Australia after an incident that aggravated an existing injury. Okay. We all saw her face. That didn't look like, the little accident they claimed it was. It looked like she got beat up by somebody. February 23rd, that's where Pam Bondi appears on Fox News and said, look, the Epstein client list is sitting on my desk right now to review. And truckload of evidence, including thousands of videos and pictures she described as horrible and disgusting, involving child exploitation. Okay. Fast forward to February 27th. Pam Bondi released the first phase of declassified files in that binder. Okay. March 2025, Gaufre posts on Instagram from a hospital bed of the car accident, stating she has 4 more days to live. April 2025, Gaufre dies by suicide. Western Australia, at the age 41, confirmed by her family and official records. She leaves no note to her children, expressing despair over separation from them. Her death follows years of battles between her and her estranged husband, but I'm not buying that she committed suicide. April 28, 2025, attorney Pam Bondi is covertly recorded by James O'Keefe, OMG, during a brunch in Washington, D.C., and it ends up getting released on May 8th, showing the very video where she's talking about videos involving little kids, describing them as horrific child exploitation material. She claims the material is under review, but delays for full release. Okay. You already heard about O'Keefe releasing the video May 8th. May 25th, Gaufre is cremated. Okay. July 7th, the DOJ released a 2-page memo saying, after an exhaustive review, there's no client list. Okay. July 8th, Pam Bondi clarifies her early comments on the Epstein client list being on her desk, stating she meant the overall file, not the specific list. She brushes aside questions about handling the files amid growing criticism like Elon Musk and MAGA supporters. July 9th, reports emerged that Dan Bongino's having issues with Bondi. We talked about that in last week's show. July 12th, Trump faces a revolt from his MAGA base, and he lashes out, calls it a hoax orchestrated by Democrats like James Comey, President Barack Obama, Vice President back then Joe Biden, and dismissing supporters demanding answers as weakly. He claims the files contain phony stuff and expresses frustration at the ongoing scrutiny. Later in July, the DOJ released CCTV footage from Epstein's jail supporting the suicide ruling. But with some of the metadata people put together, there's a lot of footage missing. And I'm going to call on Shell and McGaso and others because I know you guys got the detail on that one. And I want to tell there's some images that came out. This is John Roberts at Epstein Island, Supreme Court Justice. Okay. It's coming out, the narrative at least is coming out, that photo is actually of Jean-Luc Brunel, a French model. Okay. And today, Wall Street Journal, so I stand corrected, not New York Times. Wall Street Journal came out with a bombshell story, Epstein targeting President Trump VP Vance slammed the Wall Street Journal and said, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullshit. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing." So now that we went through all that, I now want some hands up, or I'm going to call on some people. And you're not going to like that I call you, but I'm going to call on some people here. Let's see if people are paying attention. I'm going to call on Magaso here. So Magaso, let's see if I can get him to talk. And then Lori, Arizona, get ready. Rob, Ohio, get ready. Amber, Minnesota, get ready. So Magaso, I just laid out the timeline. What did you want to add? Go ahead.
I'd like you to add two names to that timeline. First of all, when Epstein was appointed to teach school at the Dalton School, he was appointed by Attorney General Bill Barr's father. Also, when Jeffrey Epstein, quote, committed suicide, Bill Barr was the Attorney General as well. And shortly after that, he was playing bagpipes honoring Rob Rowenstein at his farewell dinner.
Very good data point. So there's a connection to Trump's first presidency's DOJ. So
it was supposed to be the Punisher or the Durham report.
So that being said, let's see what Shell's fixed her problem from earlier. Let's see. Shell, this is something down your alley. How did you like what we put out so far? Go ahead.
I like it. I like it a lot. You did good. You did really good. Okay. I would add that the time when Pan Bondi released and distributed binders labeling Epstein files phase 1 to conservative social media influencers on February 27th of 2025. The reason that that's important is because that ended up being a flooze, right? It ended up being
we had all the data 5 years ago. Everything in that binder.
That said, the binder being empty said more than, it said just enough about what was going on superficially in that. And again, I want to remind everybody who was one of the people, who was one of the media pundits. It was, what's that blonde chick's name? She's super skinny. She's one of Lynn Beck's women that has her own show. Gosh darn it. I can't remember her name. Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. She was on there, but I wanted to tell you guys 4 names. I have 4 names for you who absolutely are in fear of their life right now that have never been mentioned. Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley, U.S. Senator from Missouri. The reason that he's so scared right now is because his platform stands on anti-big tech, but he has links on the dark web. I say black web, dark web, for tech investor circles, revealing Missouri donor events where abuses were coordinated, contradicting his family values platform. The second one is and this is really telling. John Cornyn. As a leadership figure, Cornyn's role was scheduling votes on disclosures, making him a gatekeeper. He's nervous because it would expose Texas elite ties to Epstein's Virgin Island retreats through shared private jet records on the dark web. Also, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz's links to high-level legal circles include lawyers who represented Epstein's clients, positions him to block Senate inquiries. He's nervous because the Texas donors events where Epstein's money flowed into political PACs under the radar. Lastly, or actually there's 2 more, sorry. Jim Jordan, as head of the committee that could summon Maxwell, his resistance to full disclosure pokes holes in his anti-trafficking rhetoric, given connections to conservative fundraisers where Epstein's associates circulated risk exposure of hidden meetings in Washington. The last one is Lindsey Graham. His close ties to elite donor networks overlap with Epstein's financial webs, raises red flags as he has remained silent on pushing for Maxwell's testimony over time and time again, despite his position to demand hearings and shielding potential revelations from Epstein's Palm Beach gatherings.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that extra data there, Shell.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that, as always. So, Amber, we laid out a lot of details tonight about hard Epstein facts. Okay, so from your perspective, did you learn anything new? And what in your shoes, how do you see this? Go ahead.
I'm a little confused on a lot of the misinformation, like all the stuff that one side is pushing compared to the other side, and all the stuff that's coming out. I don't understand why they haven't released, when one side was pushing it before and then now all of a sudden it wants to halt it a little bit. I'm kind of confused. I just say release whatever you got and hold those accountable. Like they knew what they were getting into when they stepped into that ring. So to me, it's like you knew that this could be a possibility that this stuff could come out. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Like eventually whatever's done in the dark comes to light, so it wouldn't have been hidden forever. So I'm hoping eventually there's a gameplay here it's going to come out and, hopefully. So
I just hope it's not like every other thing gets swept under the carpet, and
yep.
This is a serious thing because these are young kids,
Yep.
And if it's younger than 14, as we suspect, this is a sickness that people really need to be held accountable. And this whole
100%.
dual citizenship, and we're going to get into that in the intro round. I challenge everybody that's listening to us online and those that are under the panel tonight, do a little digging and figure out your congressmen and women and your senators who has dual citizenship for U.S. and Israel. But good interaction, Amber. Larry, respond to Amber's feelings and then go ahead with your question.
Well, I wasn't prepared to respond to Amber's, but I will. If it was Amber the one that was naming off the 4 or 5 people that are at great risk.
No, Amber Amber just talked just now. She said she's confused. She doesn't understand why we can't just get the information. Both sides are telling, changing their stories. So what's your reaction to that? And go ahead with your question. And then Mike is on that.
I think Valerie probably made a great point earlier when we were discussing it, and that is a lot of the data or information they have by now probably is corrupt. And so, I don't think there's any clarity on what's reliable information. One thing I do believe, and I'm sure that others do too, and that is anytime any subject that's controversial or that's illegal or the consequences are great, anytime there's this much resistance, and this is this is the most resistance that we've ever seen. I mean, this thing has gone on forever, and we may never get to the bottom of it, even though we think we're close. And that is, anytime there's this much resistance, you can bet that there's some pretty powerful people, and there's no telling how high up this goes. I think her mention of Lindsey Graham earlier, and Jim Jordan, that's a shock. Not that they're guilty, but they're tied to this in some way. Lindsey Graham doesn't surprise me in the least. Actually, you said something earlier that I kind of asked a little bit of clarification. You were talking about John Roberts, and I don't remember, Chief Justice John Roberts. I don't remember exactly what you said, so I'm going to paraphrase it. And that is, I thought you were saying, basically, we've all seen the photo of John Roberts with Ghislaine Maxwell, and it turns out that really wasn't John Roberts, that it's a Frenchman that looks like him. Is that what you were saying?
That's what they're claiming.
So what I like, good question. I'm glad you brought this up. What I like to do is point out what the noise is coming out, meaning what's the mainstream media agenda that they're pushing. So we would like to believe that looks pretty good. I mean, in my eyes, that image looked like Chief Justice Roberts. Now,
Absolutely.
Now, I'm one of those people that will argue with other people that, look, I didn't take that photo. You didn't take that photo. We can't really know that that photo is at Epstein's Island per se, right? The argument is that photo is really a French model.
Yeah.
But that's the agenda. Just like
you
the
buy
COVID
that?
vaccine safe. Just like, you know, the World Trade Center fell from the 3 buildings fell from 2 planes hitting 2 buildings. You know, it's the agenda that's being pushed. They're saying that that photo is discredited. I'm saying I didn't take it, but it looks pretty damn clear to me that was Chief Justice Roberts.
So if you're like me, you don't buy that.
I don't buy that, but I like to share what the enemy's trying to clarify, right? So everyone does this and look the other way. And I'm trying to tell people, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
When they're trying to hold a carrot and say, you're really looking at the wrong stuff. Pay attention to this. That's when you need to look a little bit harder. But we got Mike Texas. Go ahead. You wanted to say something. Go ahead, brother. Thanks, Larry.
Hey, just one thing just wanted to bring something up real quick is let's not forget there's a lot of Hollywood personnel that's also involved in this whole thing. And we know how Hollywood and politics play together, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of pressure coming out of Hollywood against this list as well. So it's not just politicians. I mean, this pretty much covered a lot of, you know, different areas of the American society here and probably international society.
I'm so glad you brought up Hollywood, okay? Because on our platform, we like to expose that there is a human trafficking ring in Hollywood. There is a child trafficking thing going on. What Weinstein and all these people, he was buddies with Epstein too. Okay.
Well, it goes back to Hugh Hefner and the Playboy bunnies and how they trafficked children back then.
Yeah,
I do want to clarify one thing that Mike's bringing up to everybody. Okay, it's not just politicians. It is rich CEOs that were running a very influential company or a strategic company. These people were blackmailed. The music industry, we're learning about P. Diddy stuff. I still can't believe he got away with what he got away with. But I'm asking Shell or Susan to help me out with this. George Clooney and many other Hollywood actors and directors and Tom Hanks. Let's just put Tom Hanks up.
Happy.
Tom Hanks up in center. He has dual citizenship with a country called Greece. And if Doug Texas is still on, I believe Shell, you're unmuted. Susan, you're unmuted. Help me out. Is Greece the country that allows sex with children? Like what like they don't have crimes against that? Can you guys clarify that for us tonight?
I'd have to look it up. I don't have the age limit of consent in Greece on top of my head. So that would be,
Israel does.
Yeah.
I hope you're not implying anything with Doug, by the way.
There's a couple of points to make though while we're talking on this is President Trump made a comment during this on leverage, the word leverage. And that is a big word because what they do, especially when they're trying to catch the big fish, is they hang on to the small fish and keep them going out in the public sphere to draw in the bigger fish and to share their contacts. And so they can go, because they're still rounding people up. I mean, it's just such a huge network. It's insane. There are some that we think are really, really bad, but they've actually been working on the inside and been willing to take the hits just so they could stay on the inside and keep divulging information. So, you know, there's a lot of controversy too between what Tom Hanks's relationship with Steven Spielberg and the death of Heather O'Rourke. That's a huge thing because that covers the sacrificial aspect of the cabal and what's been going on in Hollywood. It's insane. So the leverage is something that they are using until they don't anymore. And then I think we will get disclosure. But they're still rounding people up. They're going to keep using leverage. So not everybody's going to get rounded up at in the onset. It's going to be after the fact, because if they're still bringing people in, if there are people out there still committing crimes, which there apparently are, this is an ongoing operation. Also, I just wanted to add just real quickly, I don't think that Epstein is dead, because if he does, he's got a dead man switch like McAfee and the other ones. They have a dead man switch, that a bombshell that they release if anything happens to them, one of their associates would release to the public domain. So, and I also had heard an interesting post from an Anon who is very, very, very high up in the circles, and said, don't be surprised if you hear from Epstein himself sooner than later. So, we'll see where this all plays out.
Ellie said that.
Yeah. The other thing is the list is different than the flight log. And there's a lot of phony lists going around out there and a lot of phony flight logs. So you have to verify which one it is. And also the list does not equate that everybody on that list is involved. Social climbers, like I said before, like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, they are trying to rub elbows all the way up and grease their way into every social circle they can, because that's where the money is, that's where the power lies, that's where the honeypotting takes place. And so they can have everybody, Trump, everybody on the list, but that doesn't mean that they participated in anything. And the other second hand information that I had heard recently too is a lot of people who flew out to those islands thinking they were going to get a lovely vacation and realized what was going on there, hightailed it out of there as fast as they could. And there are some that absolutely didn't want anything to do with what was going on there. So to round them up as criminals, and because they were on a flight log, does not mean that they participate or they engaged. So it is a lot that they have to clear out before they release it to the public, to make sure that you're not bringing people that were reporting this, and distress, things like that are involved in this list that really didn't have the involvement at that level. So there's a lot of muddy areas there that have to be cleared up. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Thank you for that, Susan. And that's Susan Hawaii. Aloha to her. She's always got a wealth of information. Shell, do you want to comment before we get Rob Ohio to?
I do want to say the little girl's name in the picture with George Clooney who died. Her name was Lee Sheen. Her death was logged on the dark web through a record including Dr. Moreau's log noting Lee Nye's death and a payment ledger showing $1 million transferred from a Clooney-linked shell company called Lake Como Ventures to Khalid bin Faisal from Yacht Services. She was a 9-year-old Chinese girl. She was trafficked, abused, and murdered by Barack and George Clooney on May 18th through the 19th in 2013. Her video was sold on the dark web, during an attacker's operation in Cannes, France. She was, the USA Today falsely claimed a cover-up to shield Obama from scrutiny. The events were brutal, and it was done in the Mediterranean. It just exposes the depravity of these elites. But I did want to mention her name.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
to
for
honor
that.
her.
Yeah.
Thank you. Terrible stories that we get from all of our sources. Rob Ohio, you heard the preface, you heard the timeline. What say you?
Well, one of the timelines, something Trump said, he called us all conspiracy theories about the list, and saying it was back to Obama and Joe Biden. Well, no, actually, it started back in George Bush, I believe. And one of the things that they go back to even further is Bill Clinton. He was good friends with Epstein. Actually, the devil in the blue dress.
I'm going to put the blue dress up in the intel round for sure. That's up in Epstein's Island. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it before it was dry cleaned or after? Never mind. But and you keep saying blackmailed. I would say maybe recruiting and recruiting the people into being co-conspirators, which that's how they were able to grow so quickly with their sphere of influence. But yeah, the main question is why is Trump covering it? What's the end game here? And I don't, because everything they're saying is a bunch of BS. They say one thing and then they, turn around and tell us an exact opposite. I really don't like being used like that.
Good.
I don't like my emotions being used.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Epstein, to me, should be very obvious to every human that exists on this planet of corruption by its core. This guy didn't graduate high school. He got into an elite high school to teach. No credentials. He gets to go in the finance market, talk to billionaires, created his own financial institution, gets away with screwing around with young girls. He did not get put behind bars like any other sex trafficker would. He still got to do his job 6 days a week for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a lock to his prison cell. Come on, guys.
Well, one of the
You
things I
guys-
would wanted to know is his parents. What's their story? Were they just some poor immigrants that showed up from Israel? Because there's probably a story behind that.
There's a story behind it because he got connected with the Rothschilds, and those guys got money, and they're connected to the Israeli system as well. So let's look, Rob. I'm with you. I'm frustrated with this too. Let's see what Teresa's got to say. Go ahead, Teresa. Magasa's on deck. Thank you.
Okay, Rob. A couple of things. What I think is funny too is that he also took videos and detailed information about the people that were doing this, just like P. Diddy did. So how do we know he wasn't blackmailing them all? Or maybe that's why he's in this safe place, because he's going to, turn them all in, that's what, I wonder. And the other thing is that really upsets me is all these Republicans like Bongino and Kash Patel, and Pam and all that, how they acted all bad, that they were good, they were mad and they were going to go after them. They were going to get all these people. And now it's like they're all shutting up and hushing up.
Everybody, Valerie knows. I believe we are divergent to the noise. I believe that we overcome the conditioning, the television programming, the agenda pushes. We challenge the narrative. I don't see a lot of people doing that. And it drives me crazy. It's like, how do you live your life with this control? You're not really free. But any agenda, any conspiracy that we like to push out that we definitely don't believe. Hell, last week, or was it the week before, we had September 11th guy on here, the architect, and he to this day I still will look people in the eye and look, did you take physics ever in your life? Explain to me how Building 7 collapsed. How? If you can't explain it,
it's called an inside job.
How do you believe the narrative? How do you believe the narrative? Oh, the vaccine's safe. We made it in 3 months. Safe, it's safe, it's safe. People lining up at 5 a.m., driving an hour, 45 minutes, lining up, ready to take it. Nobody thought, man, vaccines take a little bit longer? Don't they do testing a little bit longer? Why would they do a lottery a little bit longer? Don't they do testing a little bit longer? Why would they at the state? They need something like nobody questioned. So this Epstein stuff, it's dirty. He didn't commit suicide in jail, so we all know it. But we're told to believe it. Believe it. You're crazy if you don't. Look the other way. In fact, before I call on Megeso, because I know Megeso's fired up, I want to know what another baby boomer thinks of this. Rosemarie, I'm calling on you. I know you're there. Let's try to unmute and hear. Well, gosh, maybe she's not there. Well, Megeso, I'm gonna unmute.
Wait a minute. I am here. I'm here.
What do you think, doll, about all this? Valerie and I laid to you facts, hard facts that you can't dispute. Now, what do you think?
I think there's a lot of big names and a lot of big money involved in this whole with Epstein. I think a lot of people are being bribed. There's a lot of things going on which we cannot see, which we can't put our finger on. And I'm really disturbed that first Trump said he was going to, expose everything, and now he's not. It's and Bondi said she had this big stack of papers on her desk, and now she does. There's something behind there that we cannot, envision. And I feel that hopefully it will come out. But right now, it is being covered up. And I understand there was more than 1 minute that was missing. It was like 3 minutes that was missing on the tape in that jail. That's my feeling. I think.
Thank you. And just imagine, Rosemarie, the entire camera system wasn't working that day. I mean, come on. Bless you,
Sorry,
bless
thank
you.
catching a cold
You
again.
just can't. You can't argue a third building falling from 2 planes that didn't hit it. You can't argue, that masks is going to keep a virus from going into your body, and that you need to stay 6 feet away from people, and let's all go to the same grocery store. And I mean, we are in a propaganda world. Megeso, what's your thoughts? You wanted to talk, and Victoria, Hawaii's on deck. Go ahead, Megeso. Thank you, Rosemarie. Thank you.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you're talking about television or tell a lie, and why people aren't aware of what's going on, because legacy media doesn't talk about it. The Epstein case should have been talked about and highlighted on the news over and over again years ago, with a man doing so many horrific things and the evidence that was out there. Same thing with 9/11. That should have never gone away until it was resolved. Same thing with COVID. Should never gone away until we got to the bottom of it. But most people still watch legacy media and are asleep. Should never gone away until we got to the bottom of it. But most people still watch legacy media and are asleep. Those of us who are on podcasts and other things, we're
What do you
awake.
think the percentages? What do you think the percentages of people that are still in the noise versus the people that are above the noise? So I'm putting us above the noise. We don't believe 90% of what's being put out there.
Well, if you just look at the blue states and the red states, that would tell you a lot right there. If you're asking me about Hawaii, I'd say most of the people are still asleep because of the governor and our policies, and everybody thinks he's great. So this again goes back to he who controls the narrative.
Now,
So
in Hawaii, let's talk about that for just a second. And I see Victoria. I'm gonna get her camera up, and we're gonna talk too. But if I lived in Hawaii and I see the corruption that's going on in the quadfecta state of Hawaii, your House, your Senate, your AG, your governor, and your Supreme Court, all of it is kind of stacked against it. I would be like, why am I still here? Why am I supporting a state that's not supporting me? That's how Americans should think. I wouldn't be in a liberal state. In fact, I told my wife, I said, God moves us in different positions in our life for a reason. We got moved to Florida probably to keep us alive and not put during COVID. I'm telling you, counties were doing things against a conservative governor. There was lawsuits going on. There was battles going on. How shady and corrupt our country is, all the way to the county level. Have a phone conversation with other leaders in your state, and they'll tell you, we got rhinos, we got rhinos, we got rhinos. Their job in life, the rhinos, is to screw up the conservative base, screw up our voting, screw up our message, screw up our progress. It's everywhere. State, county, town, it's sickening. It's really bad. And Victoria, what's your take? Go ahead.
Aloha. I agree with you. I believe that the only reason I'm here is because God sent me here. And it was for a purpose and on purpose, and that we're all here created uniquely for a time such as this. I don't doubt anything about the Epstein files. I also don't believe everything about the Epstein files. And it really reminds me that anything about the Epstein files, I also don't believe everything about the Epstein files. And it really that being released from the jail by the angels and being told to go back to the temple. Yeah, those things really happen. There are powers we don't see at work. There are things at work that we can't comprehend. And I don't think we have to understand it all, but I believe there's a level of evil happening. But I also believe there's a level of God happening also. And these things that have happened to these girls as victims and these people involved is horrific. People are not perfect. I understand that. And I believe we should have due process. And I'm not a judge. I'm not going to judge these people on what they did or didn't do. That's ultimately, I leave that to God because I don't want to be judged. I think it's a very big, broad, delicate, deep topic, and so many people involved and so many levels of evil that most people can't even comprehend the level of darkness that is involved. I personally have not dove down that because it would be a trigger. And also because I can imagine the people involved were not all victims to the same degree. Do I think it still happens? Yeah.
Wow.
Do I think it still happens in Hawaii? Absolutely. I think that's why we're here, is to shed light on it and to bring it to light, but also we need to be careful because we give power to the name. And as a Christian, I don't think that power should be given to the people who do evil. I'm not innocent.
Well put.
I agree.
Well put.
But I also don't think that everybody should be put on the chopping block the same. I think once we start pulling that thread, a lot of stuff. And when it starts unraveling, I think it's being done very meticulously and methodically, because loose and you're going to have people go crazy. And being in the Hawaiian Islands, we're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. We feel the impact of things that happen on the mainland a little bit more, because if there's any disruption, we get impacted longer. So I appreciate the administration.
Uh-oh. There must have been something that happened, Victoria. You got muted on accident there. Let's try to get her back on. In the meantime, Lori, Arizona, we laid out foundational facts that you can't dispute. What are your thoughts? Doug, Texas, Mike, Texas, Susan, Hawaii. A lot of people want to talk about this. So, Lori, what's your take? And then I'm going to need Rob, McGay, Larry, and others to help me run the intel around here in a little bit, because Valerie and I got to take the dogs up. But Lori, what did you think? Go ahead.
Well, I really haven't followed the Epstein whole situation a whole lot over the years. I've known it's there. But what you brought out tonight has really made me think. I think there is even more corruption in our government, in our country, than we even realize. And a lot of people hiding and covering up a lot of things. And whatever can be brought to light needs to be brought to light, because I think these people just keep getting away with more and more and more. And it's not right. I have 2 friends at work trying to stop child trafficking, and just the stories that I hear from them are horrendous. And so all of this is just really sad. But I'm glad I was here to hear it tonight, because I didn't realize the depth of all of this. So thank you.
Doug, Texas. Thank you, Lori. That's why we do what we do. We challenge the narrative. Doug, Texas is a brother of ours in another state, and we love him to death. So what do you?
Well, I want to go back onto the media thing. I think everybody's got it wrong and ass backwards. You blame the media. That's not the root of the cause. That's just the last thing on the damn list. You always want to blame the media. Blame the media. You know what we got to blame is our school system. And the fact that we don't teach critical thinking in the beginning. We don't teach anybody anything. Why? Rockefellers, Rothschilds. They teach rote memorization. They teach obey, obey, obey. So if you want to know why people are sitting out there going like, I don't know, I'm just going to believe the legacy media, it's because they were brought up that way since they were little. And there are damn few people that get out there and actually try to learn this stuff. So
now, I want to piggyback on what Doug said.
Say, oh, it's CBS, NBC, all this other crap, rather than sitting back and going like, no, you need to start thinking. And we need to start breaking our kids out of the public school system. And we need to start educating them as to how to think, how to critically think. When we moved over here from overseas, they were teaching critical thinking in Dubai at 3rd grade for my son. Critical thinking. He came back here, he was in junior high. And you know what they started saying? No, you can't do the problem that way. He goes, no, there's about 10 other ways we can do this. No, you have to do exactly the way we told you to. Most beautiful schools supposedly in all of Virginia, and they wouldn't let them outside. They couldn't leave. Except if they were on PE, and PE almost never happened outside. So what we have to blame is educating our kids. That goes through medical system, that goes through everything. And that is all tied to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. And it goes back 100 to 150 years because they want workers, they want drones. Sorry. There was my rant for the day.
I just want to comment on what Doug's saying. First and foremost, I like what you're saying. I'm dealing with the internet attack on our side again. Another Thursday. It happens all the time. But what Doug's saying, team, he points out education, and this is a good point to bring up, because what we like to share with everyone is they actually attack every vertical in society. So they attack health, they attack agriculture, they've attacked the school system, public school system, they've attacked the court system, right? And we talk about the media control the movies. So they control all of these information avenues. And Doug's right. Your children go to public school, they're being indoctrinated into the deep state system. 100%. We're now talking about, we need to start teaching kids how to balance their checkbooks and how to. And I'm hearing about this great idea for 401k for your young child, but it seems like it could be another social system like Social Security, where money just goes into it, and another dead end kind of thing where taxpayers put a lot of money into the system. Infiltrated churches as well. Okay, they infiltrated religion. They've been infiltrated education and all the media means. So we are in a world where you're right, Doug. We can't just blame the media. I actually blame the people that are pulling the strings behind the media. I go back to the 13 bloodlines that are pulling the strings and everything. Susan, Hawaii, you wanted to say something, and there's a Tamara Fisher that wants to talk too. Go ahead, Susan, and then Tamara's on deck. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, just 2 points I would think are pertinent, and on the tail of what Doug was saying. Everyone's looking at Jeffrey Epstein, but they're not really focusing on the Maxwell, connection as much. Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, he was a known Mossad agent, and a politician. He had his finger in a lot of pots, including a prominent figure in the publishing industry. And speaking of schools, one of those under the umbrella were our school textbooks. So he had control of our school text information for our children and the schooling. So these people were all connected. They had a finger on the pulse of our children and what they were learning and their indoctrination and the dumbing down and everything else. Everything was by design. So he had his finger on the pulse of that, Robert Maxwell. And to Lynn Forrester D. Rothschild, a few years ago, there was some things that came out about her torrid affair with the Dalai Lama's closest administrative advisor, and that was outed. They had a long time love affair, and of course that draws the Dalai Lama into this whole globalist. He was a rock star. He and Deepak Chopra, both rock stars for the globalist elite and religious leaders. Do you see them walking around much these days? You see them as prominently as they were, before this operation took place. So, that just shows you the scope of this and the connectivity of it. I yield.
Tamara, remind me. Sorry, Lori, we're having internet issues, so thank you for all that data that you just shared with us from Hawaii. We're having internet issues, so thank you for all that data that you just shared with us from Hawaii. Tamara, go ahead. And you're in North Dakota, right?
Yes, I'm in North Dakota.
Go ahead with your
noticed it.
question or comment.
don't really have a question. I've just kind of been listening to the whole podcast about the Epstein. And I guess my thought process is kind of a little bit, I liked what the lady said from Hawaii. I think sometimes when it comes down to debate of, you know, what they did, what they didn't do, at the end of the day, we know something was done. And when we look at our local judicial systems, I watch the news a lot. I read a lot of law stuff. To me, people that commit okay, so this is coming from someone who was raised in the foster care system. I was abused when I was a small child. So I've learned a lot about the social service system. But when you rob someone of their childhood and their innocence, you've robbed that. And the consequences for them are very small. It's like they get a slap on the hand. I don't think the question is what, you know, who did what, because obviously somebody did something. But we need to look at our judicial system as a whole. It's just not famous people that do it. This is happening in our local towns, in our local states. It's happening all around us. And it's on a bigger scale than just the Epstein files and what famous person did this and what person did that. And I just gathered that because I was watching a film earlier based off of true events that actually had to do with human trafficking. And this stepfather had sold two of his daughters. They were his stepdaughters. He sold them into the trafficking brothels of Europe. And that just, you know, it just brings more light. I think they had given some facts on there and I was going to write them down and I didn't, but the numbers were outrageous. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, here we are, you know, debating on whether when ultimately we know our God-given gifts of we know what's going on. I think the part of us is to unite as a country to say we're not going to tolerate this anymore. There has to be a more I can't think of the word right now.
Unity.
Like a more severe punishment for these types of people, because it's like they get a slap on the hand. I mean, you might as well have just killed that person versus just raping them, because that they live with that. And a lot of times it doesn't go back to Obama, it doesn't go back to George Bush, it goes back to the starting of this country. And that's one thing that we have to unite together as a people, say that this is a problem all around. It's happening everywhere, all around us. And children are being robbed of their innocence, and their perpetrators are just getting a slap on the hand. And I guess that's my point that I wanted to say, because we know something is going on. To debate about it, we need to come up with a better judicial system that handles people like that, I guess.
I was happy to see that some states were coming out with some laws against it just recently. Don't you remember that? But I don't know what the outcome was for their punishment. But at least some states are putting together laws against it. So
yeah, I seen some
that's
of
where
that.
we need to go with it, I think. Yeah.
So Tamara, we need you every Thursday, and I'm glad that you came back. I don't think I have a way of contacting you, but I'm gonna send you a message in the chat, and you try to reply to it. Okay.
I think I miss a lot of Thursdays because I'm fighting the local government here locally for judicial corruption that I'm trying to bring to this little area of North Dakota with the CPS system and our local police department, because we have filed formal complaints against them. And so that's why I never thought it would be my job, but you know, God gives you that calling on the inside. And my son said, he said to me, Mom, he said, you're only one person. He said, why do you care about humanity when you've been abused your whole life? And I said, you know what, son, that's why some of us are chosen to fight that fight. I said, because even though we might not see the fruits of our labor, we create ripples, and those ripples get bigger.
Yeah.
On that note, Tamara, we would like to schedule you in the future an unheard American story, because some people don't believe what some people go through as a young child through the government, CPS, and stuff like this. So you share some concerns, and we would like you to share your story if you're open to the idea.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, most definitely.
Okay, perfect. I sent you a message in the chat there, and thank you for sharing everything from North Dakota. We'd love you to represent North Dakota. Ron, Nevada, what do you think about everything we shared tonight? Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I think Tamara made a very good point. The justice system is failing us in our country with the influence of outside money to these judges. And there needs to be a very, very strict law against child predation. And I mean the death penalty. And I believe that Idaho passed a law that anyone convicted of child molestation faces the death penalty by firing squad, which I think is appropriate, but I think that needs to spread all around. I think it just can't be tolerated, and you're not going to change things if you tolerate them. So the ultimate way to not tolerate it is to kill these child predators and get rid of them, and because they've taken lives through their actions. So I'm all for that. I think, and we have a bad justice system. You can see it every day, what they're doing against Trump, you know, these good judges. And it's that outside money that's having its effect with these prosecutors not prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law. And yeah, it needs to change. And I think the people need to push it, you know. I think the people need to push it, you know. As far as your information concerning Epstein, I think you're spot on. And I think that we're just being lied to consistently. And it's a big cover up. All of it is. And the roots run really deep. And who knows to where? I don't. You know, it's hard to know. I believe it's a total cover up. And I'm disappointed with Trump, Bondi, Cash, and Bongino. I just did not believe them when they came out and said, "Oh, there's nothing here to see," you know, and disappointment there. But hey, life is full of disappointments, right? But anyhow, that's my take on things.
Oh, that's good. Good point, Ron. We're gonna call him Magaso now, and we're gonna go into the intel round shortly. And in the intel round, we're gonna have the microphones off for everybody. I just ask that we be respectful and cognizant of how long you're talking, because there is 25 of us here, and I'd like it that all 25 of us get a chance to talk. So if we could work on that, that'd be great. So I'm gonna put some people up here. Magaso, Doug, Texas, Lori, Arizona. You guys are gonna be able to unmute your microphones. Okay. Amber, Minnesota. Shell, Texas is going to be up here. Sandra, Nevada is going to be up here. Rosemarie, Florida. Susan, Hawaii. Okay, there's she. So first, Magaso, you wanted to chime in, and then we'll go into the intel round. I want to make sure we cover state to state, and everybody shares what's going on at their state and any national thing that you guys. When I get back from my restroom break here with my wife. And so, Miguel, so what do you want to talk to us about? And then let's go into the intel round. Rob will kick off the first topic. Go ahead,
I was
Miguel.
just trying to connect you with Kelly. So
Yeah, that's who Joe. That's who Joe was. Okay, I thought that was Kelly. I didn't want to assume.
Hello. Good to see you.
So let's,
I don't know if she's on
you guys
now,
should
but
be able to. Let me make sure you guys can unmute yourselves. But go ahead, Kelly, unmute, and let's hear an update.
Well, as we all know that for sure, Bill Clinton is on the Epstein's list. And yesterday we did a great job as a team to go into the police commissioner's office and notify them that they've been basically ran and paid for by pedophiles, both foreign and domestic here in Hawaii as well. And we didn't get dragged out of the police commissioner's meeting, which was really good. Joe had a speech. We had a speech. There's a lot of police brutality. It did happen to me. We, after 69 days, we finally got a portion of the police report. So Joe and I got that right before we went into the meeting from our FOIA request, and there's still a lot missing. And it's basically extortion. But what we did see today was them beating me up. And how they couldn't restrain themselves from not knowing their constitutional rights and your constitutional or my constitution. They don't know. They just are really not trained for that. Joe and I have had to dive deep and go into the standard procedures of protocol, the guidelines for the officers and how they work. And nobody had their video cam footage in my video turned on based on their audio, video, camera footage, Axion, training and whatnot. We also got discovery from the prosecutor's office. They didn't charge us anything, but they basically waited to the very last minute to release. And then today I found out I have an FBI number.
Wow.
Yeah, it's instead of these reports. And so already the evidence that the Hawaii Police Department's team for FOIA requests returned, from what we've identified in the forensics, there's a lot of fabrication and manipulation. My first 20-second video, they all show their report at 7:08 or 7:05 a.m. in the morning. But I have a video of when they engage me to ask me to move, and 7 minutes later they show up. And it's just a lot. And so that's how long it took for us to get any body cam footage. And then that's not the whole thing that we asked for, but it's a part as reports. We can see where all the fabrications are, and we can see why they would think it's okay. On their footage, on my footage, de-escalation is not an option, and they want your social security number so they can get to your assurity bond on the spot and take you in as a ward of a state so they can collect on you by opening the case there and being the judge at the event versus waiting for the judge to sign a warrant because, so we've got some information. We're combing over the forensic, we're doing our forensics analysis. We did let the petitioners know, and Shelby Billionaire, he's been releasing all the Epstein stuff to them and putting it in commissioners meeting. The ministries takes incident reports because the mission is to end child trafficking, human trafficking, sex slavery, all of that stuff. They're just all finding out about who they know who Joe is because he ran as a Republican, is the most recent, voted on Republican, if not the most popular Republican in 2020 and 22. And they're using homeless people's names and all of this record that we're getting. We're going to just ask for forensics. And now they're learning that you can go into the court pro se. because they weren't letting you do that. Everybody always believed you needed an attorney, but we're proving them that we're ahead of them in the court record, thanks to Megaso. Kind of working until we file the probably $1 billion lawsuit for it. You know what I mean? You're gonna see the evidence yourself. So we're gonna probably have like a VIP invite for all of you guys to see what they gave us, right? And we'll do kind of like we'll read it out loud. And I know I have my video evidence, which is I became a First Amendment auditor, right? Because you individually gonna evidence, which is I became a First Amendment auditor, right? Because you individually gonna have to stand your ground if tyrants come to you. And in the totality of circumstances, they violated my rights, the ones they thought I had, the ones I didn't know I had. They asked me for my social security number, I don't know how many times. They don't know what repatriation is, right? I didn't claim sovereignty. I didn't claim sovereign citizen, but they claimed a whole bunch of other things. And then the female sounding officer calls her sugar daddy in one of the videos. Is it daddy or daddy? And they tell me like basically like a traffic citation is a criminal violation.
No.
So anytime there's an engagement, whip out your phone or just start, because to me it's like the phone kind of protects both of you. If you have the phone out, your intention is not to harm. It's showing that you're like understand the law, and yes, we're challenging your understanding of it, but there was no resistance of force in the old police reports, but now it's there now, kind of stuff. It's very irregular. There's a lot of irregularities from what information they've already provided to us, and we're going to litigate it and win. We'll just take the complaint to SCOTUS, but we have enough on them. And I guess I better call the FBI personally and let them know I was just informed that I have an FBI number. But I told them all that they've been ran by pedophiles. I read part of the gay manifesto that was released in 1987. I got the 2 paragraphs. It explains a lot about what I jumped on my phone, but it won't let me connect and put my name on, and my video won't work, and neither will where I have Zoom downloaded the audio. So Joe had to open up his laptop so that we can actually communicate. And so where I have Zoom downloaded the audio. So Joe had to open up his laptop so that we can actually communicate. And so what he was saying is absolutely right. I know how far back it goes. We have every right to stand up to pedophiles, and we don't want to be a part of the cabal. None of us want to support sex trafficking of children. None of us want to support, it doesn't matter what your identity is. What it does matter is if you believe that your government should be ran and operated by pedophiles, or that they should be living where you live, you better go check your brain. You know what I mean? Because Josh Green I didn't even know they had this, but there's a commission for LGBTQ council here in Hawaii. Like a few days ago, I saw a post on Facebook by someone, Joe's network, and this is what it is. They're doing it again. So on the 14th of this month, July, the LGBTQ Commission is proposing that Governor Green, that he signed an executive order to demand that Hawaii become a sanctuary for gender affirming care, which would allow for the transitioning of boys and girls, boys to girls, and girls to boys, not porno. Please call to action and share with as many. Call Governor Josh Green's office and say no to the executive order at 808-586-0034. So anybody can call from around the world and let them know that, no on this. Email Governor Josh Green's office and say no to the order at gov.communications@hawaii.gov. 3, contact your local rep to tell the governor no to the order. 4, show up on the 14th. So I passed that, but we showed up at a lot of other things in the community. They've been seeing me and Joe around, building our credibility and putting them on notice, because so yeah, so that's what they're doing. I didn't even know there was a Hawaii State Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer Plus Commission meeting agenda July 14, 2025 at 2:30. I didn't even I just wow, right. So that's the intel over here, you know. Anything else that I should add, Mageso? Or Joe?
No,
Joe
it's
would like
more
to
about,
no.
you mentioned the Epstein files, so that was good that that got put in.
Bill Clinton.
Hey, anyway, aloha everybody. How are you guys doing? Real quick, Kalei gave you a quick synopsis, a summary of what we've been going through. But we can add into the saga of you can't make this shit up. We could probably have a daily event thing on there of what is actually happening, what we're seeing, what we're reviewing, from the court system, from the prosecuting attorney's office, from the police officers themselves. We could just go on and on and on, and it really is truly the prosecuting attorney's office, from the police officers themselves. We could just go on and on and on, and it really is truly you can't make this stuff up. It just the experience it's a good experience we're having to go through.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but I see Rob over there laughing as well. But it's
Joe,
just.
sorry. Joe, are you keeping a journal of day-by-day events?
Yeah, we've been primarily on Kalei's been doing on video, a lot of the documents on video. So we, instead of having to write everything that goes on, but we just do a video clip. We haven't been posting any of it. We just save it to ourselves. Some we have posted
On Facebook.
So if you can look up, I think it's mine is under
Joseph O'Connor.
Yeah, Joseph O'Connor. Okay. You can go follow me on there. We're putting our stuff on there. That's more the again, you can't make this stuff up kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, we're just looking at these things like they said, we finally 68 days later, we finally got a police report.
Partial.
And it's only partial.
It's still
When we had to pay for it
right,
to get it.
Closed yet.
Yeah.
And that's not the complete one. We finally got body cams, but they're going to take us the next 20 days to get the remaining amount of footage.
Well, no, that's for the first.
We finally got body cams, but they're going to take us the next 20 days to get the remaining amount of footage.
Well, no, that's for the first part of the remaining.
Well,
They gave
us 3 videos. They said they got 11. Now here's what we talk about. You can't, make some certain things up. We have we have conflicting numbers of videos. Let's just put it this way. From different reports, conflicting numbers of videos.
And I'm Chinese.
And yeah, she's Chinese, by the way, in case you didn't know that on the report. She
So,
looks Chinese, right? Right? Doesn't she look Chinese? Chinese, totally.
That's what
Right?
they have you down as.
I just wanted to ask you, Joe and Kalei, when you guys are ready to share that information and you hope
Yeah, we're gonna do like a VIP release party, and you guys are gonna be invited because we want to go. We want everybody to see like first reactions. Like we recorded on my first reaction, but it took forever to get through it. Just the police part of it because you're just. But
well, the hardest part is having to replay it back in your head and hear and watch what they were saying while you remember what it is you're seeing, and you're like, "Holy shit, they really did."
I'm sure it's hurtful for sure.
Beat the crap out of her. So there's times you just got to stop. You're like, "Holy smoke, what did I just see?" Right? So, details. When did the police say they arrived? Because what we saw in some parts of the report, the physical report, the handwritten paper one, is times are very different from the one that's actually on the body worn camera.
7:05.
Right? They all say they started the reporting, an example, at 7:08, but on Kalei's phone, some of her recordings started at 6:57.
Wow.
Just this contradictory of information, and you're like, wow, how did it? And you say, one guy said, yeah, well, we saw you And they, well, how could you see me when you weren't even on the scene? How could you
Right.
have possibly
So
seen her operate her vehicle when you weren't even there? Right. So
right.
there's
So
again, there's
those
contradictions of information. So
Well,
right.
it was
And
issued a declaration.
there, right? So
right.
there's
So
again, there's
those
contradictions of information. So
Well,
right.
it was
And
issued a declaration for a what warrantless, what did they call it?
I got to go back and look.
A warrantless arrest, and then all I'm saying is just like, wow.
Yeah, it's a wow.
Wow.
It is definitely a like I said, you sit there and you shake your head
there,
because you're just like, well, you can't make this up. Even if I tried, I couldn't make this up.
do you have any
Give it to the
Go ahead.
government.
I'm sorry.
no.
Yeah, really, it is. I mean, Clay kind of touched on a couple of things here, but man,
Pains.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Ron, do you have any intel up for Nevada? Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
Well, I could tell you what's going on in the news. Let me get to it. Yeah. I could tell you what's going on in the news. Let me get to it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Las Vegas judge sentences 3 to probation for roles in a man's murder. Wow, you get probation for that. Nevada Public Radio TV faced 7.5 million in cuts after U.S. Senate rescinds federal funds. Okay. Major wildfire in Nevada threatens to engulf secretive Area 51 base. Nevada joins lawsuit against Trump administration's education funding freeze. That's our liberal Democratic senators and the AG. Yeah. Battleground Nevada and Wisconsin among states.
Getting enough to eat now?
Wisconsin among states with voter rolls under DOJ scrutiny. Yeah, I hope they do scrutinize Nevada because it's a crooked place for elections. California, Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada join effort to unmask ICE agents. Again, that's our liberal Democratic senators and AG and Secretary of State. And that's all the news I got. But
Okay, well, thank you much. And okay, anybody have any suggestions for an intel question? I've been kind of staying off the news this week. My blood pressure has been a little bit too high. But let's see. One thing I did hear that there was a Chinese politician that defected to Russia with detailed plans of how China was going to attack Siberia once Russia was weakened enough and take over that part of Russia for the rare earth minerals and to depose the Kremlin. And what did Putin do? He took the guy and he sent him back to China, him and his family. Needless to say, I couldn't understand that. Did anybody else have any intel on that portion of it? No? Okay.
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, it's pretty much a death sentence. So I was just wondering if anybody else heard anything. Well, one thing that's been going on here in Ohio, they found more emails from the EPA saying how they mishandled the testing for dioxins shortly after the derailment. So that's 3 things now that they have on the EPA and the CDC for how it was handled after the train derailment here. And it's basically, it's all pointing back to the government covering up for Norfolk Southern. But, okay, Magaso, are you still on, or you got your...
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay, do you have any topics for the intels?
Well, we're dealing mostly with a lot of local issues, but I don't know if I mentioned it last week. They have HB 427, which is a bill dealing with invasive species. That if the government determines you have any on your property, for example, they can come in and confiscate your property. Which be really, it's another land grab because our politicians basically want more billionaires on the island. But they could combine that with HB 127A, which is what they used during COVID to lock us down as well. So it's another UN program, United Nations program, because our government is a puppet for the United Nations. So a lot of these NGOs are moving in with their plans. Originally, it was called the Melmo. So a lot of these NGOs are moving in with their plans. Originally, it was called the Melmo Project back in, that was a 2027 agenda plan about electrifying all the farms when the push was for the Green New Deal at that time. Be written, it doesn't talk about that because that would have put a lot of our local farmers out of business and they would have lost their land because they couldn't afford the upgrades, for example. We recently also had an elections commission meeting, which is pretty much run by Marxist guys that have been there for a long time. That just to give you an idea, as they were voting on the minutes of the meeting, they allowed the public to come in and do Zoom calls and vote on the meeting. And one of the commissioners said, "Why are we allowing the public to speak?"
Yeah.
It gives you an idea they don't want the real voices to be heard, and that's kind of it. I've been pushing the envelope, so I'm kind of trying to take it easy and get had a little health setback, so I'm trying to get myself revigorated here for the next challenge.
Yeah, conserve because it's only going to get worse, and don't stand in front of any open windows, okay? Right.
I'm not suicidal.
I was just going to bring that up, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Palisades fire. Yeah, they won't give them permits to build on it, but boy, they're buying out at a small price, and then they're going to build low-income housing.
Well,
sure
what I heard was that they're telling the people that they need to clean up their land, and if they're not going to clean it up, they're going to lose it. And yet there was like millions of dollars allocated to clean up the land and get all kinds of money for all kinds of money for it to get it done, but none of that is occurring. So people are having to get out there with their own chainsaws and try to clean up the land so that they don't lose the land. It's not taken away from them. Let me explain this a little bit better. The people were saying, yeah, $450 million was allocated to have these people come in with this machinery to help us clean our land and get rid of the debris, but it's not happening. They never showed up. And then the government there in California is saying, if you don't clean up your land, we're going to take it over. And that's what's happening. That's another land grab happening right in blatant in front of us.
Yeah, those were some nice buildings up in there. And I'll tell you one thing, there's nothing will get a millionaire to move out of an area faster than public housing.
Yeah.
That's never to move out of an area faster than public housing.
Yeah.
That's it's a cruel fact, but it's true.
Well, it's a land grab, and they're taking people's land because you didn't clean it up, and so we're going to go after it. That's terrible.
Yeah, isn't also the high-speed railroad supposed to be going up through there as well?
That's a boondoggle.
Yeah, but
That's just money laundering. I think all that millions and billions of dollars, and nothing's being built. That's a boondoggle.
it's like all construction. It's like they come in, they pave a road. 8 years later, they have to pave it again. Same company comes in, and it always seems like they pay off, to the people that the commissioners and stuff that choose them. They get a little finance help. Yeah, I mean it's Epstein might be the large scale corruption, but it trickles down.
I can't believe that Karen Bass still has her job after all that she's done, and what she's going to give illegals money, and taxpayer money. Did you hear about that?
Well, being a socialist or communist light, yeah, I can believe I remember seeing her say that, but it's like the guy running for New York governor or New York City mayor.
Yeah.
He said basically the same thing. New York City mayor.
Yeah.
He said basically the same thing. You can't change the stripes on a communist.
Yeah.
Karen Bass doesn't call her people Americans. She calls them Angelinos.
The last name like Bass?
Doesn't she have a sordid history of being in a terrorist, of being connected to terrorist group back in the day?
No, she was heavily
I haven't heard that,
fond
but
of
she's
Astros.
got some kind of facial
I think she was connected in some way to Castro.
Well, I heard she had a sordid past being associated with radicalized terrorists back in the day.
I heard that too.
You did?
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know enough about it, but I have heard it.
Yeah, boy, she's really moved up in the world, huh?
Well, hey, look at the bright side, Ron. Being that we've had Jeremy Brown on a few times, I guess they can come by and say that we've had ties with radical terrorists in the past, or at least that's one way to look at it. Not that Jeremy is, but they will paint us that way.
Yeah, well, still no big prosecutions for all the people that did us dirty during the last 4 years. I don't see nobody going to jail. What a disappointment. What a disappointment.
Well, back in 1970, Karen Bass was associated with the Venceneros Brigade of Cuba.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay, Shell, do you got any data to share with everybody tonight? Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the sound of freedom. how people, I just found it, I'm not laughing at the expense of the children who are trafficked, but I'm laughing at all the fools that went to go see that, because that movie, it was absolutely funding child sex trafficking, the very thing that they had in the movie. And the fact that there were so many people that were rallying around that movie, it was kind of like, to me, watching that whole thing and watching the people support it was like watching pastors and clergy and people in churches do the ice bucket challenge. Do people actually not know or read? Because it's actually Apollo, one of the watchers. And you basically, in order to see this particular god, you have to go to a very, very secluded place in the center of the earth where he's at. And you have to kill yourself, but you also have to keep yourself and your body alive. So that's where the ice and the water comes from. There's a couple of people who have testimonies currently out in the circulation who talk about this particular ice thing that happens to their body when they're doing this ritual, when they go see Apollo, because it's a Freemason thing. And anyway, back to the Sound of Freedom. Sketchy people involved in this film. There is Paul S. Hutchinson, who inappropriately touched one of the child and the sex slave as well on assignment to catch abusers. Tim Ballard was grooming, manipulating, harassing, and sexually assaulting women. Carlos Slim, a human drug trafficking tyrant who was the person who financed TSOF, who is responsible for many crimes. Jim Caviezel, who told you that he was watching snuff films and child porn to save a child and his niece. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was actually on camera in front of the whole world telling him that he actually watched porn to get ready for a movie so that he could get into character. Do you remember in 2007, the Rosary Bowl with Jim Caviezel?